The NFL trade deadline has come and gone, and the Ravens not players this season like they were last year when they landed linebacker Roquan Smith and completely changed their defense. No edge rusher, no running back like Derrick Henry or Josh Jacobs was added via trade, so the Ravens will roll with what they've got for the final 9 games of the regular season. Defensively, probably not necessary for the Ravens. John Harbaugh said Monday players are expected to return off the injured reserve. Cornerback Pepe Williams and linebacker Malik Ham are close, and while for the last 2 weeks it didn't sound great, outside linebacker Tyus Bowser is optimistic he could play this season. Bowser has yet to practice or really suit up following a summer knee injury that put him on the non-football injury list.
We may have some hope coming back. I had a chance to talk to Tyus just last week, and Tyus was pretty optimistic, you know. So I can't say it's a guarantee, you know, because it's just kind of it's a knee that's a little angry at times, but who knows? Maybe we'll get Tyus back. We'll see how that goes in the next few weeks.
Former Ravens wide receiver James Prochet found his landing spot after being cut following preseason. Prochet is joining the Browns practice squad. Interesting timing. That's who the Ravens face for the second time this season after Seattle. Cleveland also added running back Kenyon Drake to their P squad. The biggest trades at the deadline happened outside of Baltimore. Washington unloaded its best defensive ends. Montez Sweat to Chicago for a Bears second-round pick and Chase Young to the 49ers for a third. The Ravens will see him on Christmas. The Cardinals are sending quarterback Joshua Dobbs to Minnesota. The Vikings lost quarterback Kirk Cousins with a torn Achilles. Clearly, the Commanders' new ownership group under Josh Harris believes the future of Washington is not there yet and will happen through the draft. They've got more picks now.
All right, Morgan, thank you, and we'll be watching. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 6 o'clock, Baltimore County's plastic bag ban goes into effect Wednesday. We break down what you need to know. Also ahead, Fox 45 continues our investigation into the Safe Streets program in Baltimore, what we're learning about Thursday's FBI raid.
Alarming new findings surrounding the city's flagship violence intervention program. Fox 45 confirms multiple FBI raids all in the same day. Jury selection begins in the federal trial of Baltimore's former state's attorney. Why one legal expert says today's selections could impact the entire case. And later, new information about the alleged shooter in last week's mass shooting in Maine. The warning signs police knew about weeks before the massacre.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, This is Fox 45 News at 6.
Days after the FBI raided a Safe Streets location, new information keeps coming in. As a result, there is a lot to unpack regarding our investigation into Safe Streets. We are working for you, taxpayers, investigating how your money is being spent.
Does the city have an obligation to be more transparent with the public?
I think it's probably a better ask of the organization.
Should they be audited?
Again, it clearly lacks the hands-on oversight that the mayor and the administration should be providing.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. Thanks so much for staying with us. Tonight, we are taking you through all of the angles of our investigation. We begin with Mackenzie Frost in the latest details. Mackenzie?
Well, Mary, we're learning that not only did the FBI raid that Safe Streets location in Bel Air Edison, the FBI also made more than a dozen other raids on Thursday. So now we have 3 Safe Streets employees who are currently on leave. We have 1 facing state-level charges, and the Bel Air Edison Safe Streets site is currently inactive. David Caldwell, it was the site supervisor at the time. He's the one who's facing charges related to ammunition that was found at his home that was seized during that FBI raid. According to charging documents that Fox 45 News obtained, not only did the FBI seize that ammunition, they also took computers, documents, USB drives, as well as drug packaging material. Now, earlier today, I spoke with a former FBI agent who says that these raids had to get approval not just from people here in Baltimore, but the FBI headquarters in Washington, D.C., and he expects other people will have to answer questions as well as this investigation unfolds.
I think you'll see many more people involved, not just the individual workers per se, but other people that knew or should have known will come out in paperwork. They will interview other individuals that they believe should have been providing appropriate oversight.
Now, I also sent several questions to Mayor Brandon Scott in his office today, asking not only if he has been questioned by the FBI, but we also want to know, given the FBI raid and the history of issues with Safe Streets, do you have any plans to halt the program citywide? We understand the Bel Air Edison location is currently inactive. Who made that decision? How long will the site be closed? And are you prepared to provide an audit or an outside investigation of the Safe Streets program? The mayor's office tells me he has not been questioned by the FBI. As for those other questions, we're still waiting to get an answer. So far, those questions have gone ignored. Stay with us, because at 10 o'clock, we'll take a deeper dive into this investigation, as well as see what questions we're asking the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement. And I just got a response, so you want to see what they have to say. We're live in the newsroom. Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Mackenzie, thank you. Fox 45 News is committed to figuring out what's going on with this program for you, the taxpayer. Now, we want to hear from you. Should the Safe Streets program be stopped pending an investigation or audit of the program? So far, 95% of those who voted say yes. To make your voice heard, head to foxbaltimore.com/vote. Fox 45 News has sent more than 30 questions to various organizations in the past few days, trying to get to the bottom of what's going on. You can read all of our questions, find any answers that we have gotten on our website, foxbaltimore.com. Jury selection in Marilyn Mosby's perjury case underway. It is the first major step in the trial that is set to start this week. Inside the courtroom, Mosby sat with her team as Judge Lydia Grigsby read almost 60 different questions to the prospective jurors. Some of the questions were standard, such as their views on the criminal justice system, if they know anyone in law enforcement. Fox 45 knows there is a witness list with a combined 19 people on it. Who's on that witness list hasn't been revealed publicly, but the jury pool was asked if they knew of specific people like Mosby herself, as well as former employees and close allies of hers. During our 4 p.m. newscast, lawyer Jeremy Eldridge told us that jury selection can make or break a case.
You can win and lose cases during voir dire, meaning during jury selection, if you're falling asleep at the wheel here. So it's important, whether you're asking 68 questions like you do in federal court or you're asking 27 questions in state court, what you're doing is you're trying to root out bias. And so whether it's trying to find out if potential jurors took money out of CARES Act money, or whether they've read about the case on the news or not, or whether they agreed or disagreed with Marilyn Mosby's prosecutorial policies. These questions are all aimed at one thing, making sure that the government and the defense get a fair trial.
Jury selection is set to resume tomorrow. Mosby is facing 2 perjury charges. If convicted, she could be sentenced to a maximum sentence of 5 years in federal prison for each of those 2 counts. Baltimore police investigating after they say a crash led to the discovery of a 16-year-old who had been shot. That teen was pronounced dead at a local hospital, and now we're learning the homicide may have stemmed from an armed carjacking. Fox 45's Alexa Ashwell has the story.
Baltimore police have identified the victim as 16-year-old Khalil Jones. According to the police report, Jones was shot here on Bowley's Lane during a robbery, and the car he and his 2 friends were riding in as they were attempting to take him to the hospital had been reported stolen out of Baltimore County 2 days ago.
I was in the kitchen and heard gunshot.
They were really, really loud. It caught my attention.
Neighbors in Northeast Baltimore's Frankford and Parkside communities rattled. Here on Bowley's Lane is where police say a 16-year-old was shot after 11 last night. The teen discovered about 3 miles away after reports of a car crash near Johns Hopkins Hospital. There, he was pronounced dead.
It don't make sense for the young kids to be out here.
Baltimore police say investigators are still piecing together exactly what happened. Officers first discovered the teen after responding to reports of a car crash involving several vehicles here on Orleans Street, about a half mile from Johns Hopkins Hospital. The 16-year-old had a fatal gunshot wound. Investigators determined he had been shot 3 miles away by an unidentified suspect here on Bowley's Lane, but have yet to confirm what neighborhood leaders say that it stemmed from a carjacking. Several neighbors confirming they heard the gunshots. One man detailing his wife heard a scuffle that also woke up their dog before those shots rang out.
I'm a little bit curious. So what is going on and why is it happening right here?
Questions, and for some, the frustration mounting.
16, 17, 18, even probably younger than that. There's people that's 13, 14 that's doing crimes and all of that. But really, you have a future in your life. You don't have to do any of this.
So Baltimore police not yet confirming a carjacking specifically, but again, the report listed as a robbery that occurred led up to the shooting here on Bowley's Lane. A police source confirmed Khalil Jones was also involved in the attempted carjacking of an off-duty police officer back in August here in the city. We also checked the criminal history of the 18-year-old listed in this police report. It shows an open case for or related to an auto theft in Baltimore County earlier this month. Keith Daniels will continue to follow this investigation as it develops and have the very latest on air and online. Reporting in Northeast Baltimore, Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Well, we have heard frustration from top prosecutors across the state who say current juvenile justice laws are leaving their hands tied. Those prosecutors represent 5.4 million people, or about 87% of Maryland's population. City State's Attorney Ivan Bates has complained about Maryland's juvenile justice laws. In 2024, Bates plans to ask lawmakers to tweak those laws. He wants state's attorneys to have more of a say in handling juvenile offenders, and he's encouraging citizens to call their lawmakers.
They're wreaking havoc in our neighborhood. Still our kids though. But we have to be adults here in the room, and we have to hold them accountable. So I'm going to be asking something from all of you as well. I'm going to ask your help. If you believe in my legislative agenda, and you believe that we need to do something with the juveniles, I'm going to ask you to sit down, whether it's write a letter, I'm going to make sure we get a bus, come down to Annapolis, and say that, speak. And the reason I say that is because people hear from me, but they also need to hear from you.
Well, next week, state lawmakers will hold a juvenile crime meeting with DJS Secretary Vincent Schiraldi. He's facing questions about the department's ability to rehabilitate young offenders. We also expect to hear from those frustrated prosecutors, law enforcement officials, and parents who are calling for help.
Fox 45 is following new information in the case of Robert Card, the gunman accused of carrying out a mass shooting that left 18 people dead in the state of Maine last week. Now, new documents show police were asked to check on Card weeks before Wednesday's attacks in Lewiston, Maine. It came after a fellow National Guardsman expressed concern that Card would, quote, snap and commit a mass shooting. At the time, Card was still a U.S. Army reservist who'd reportedly been resistant to getting help in the past. The documents also detail concerns from family. In early May, Card's ex-wife and son went to police to report their concern about his anger and paranoia. Card's ex-wife also told police that he had 10 to 15 handguns and rifles. Card was found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound on Friday. His body was discovered inside of a box trailer belonging to a recycling facility from which he'd recently been fired. Mary?
Kai, thank you. Looking ahead to tomorrow when Baltimore County's new plastic bag ban is set to take effect, customers will need to bring their own bags to stores, including grocery and convenience stores, or pay a 5-cent fee for paper bags. Some businesses are exempt, including small businesses that have fewer than 4 stores. Last week, Baltimore County Executive Johnny Olszewski vetoed proposed amendments to the bill that would have also exempted liquor stores from the new ban.
Choosing sides in the Israel-Hamas war causing deep divides among Americans, and it's not along party lines. I'm Kayla Gaskins in Washington with that story straight ahead.
And trick-or-treaters might need the long johns under the costume this year. It looks like 7 p.m. temperatures 48, feeling like 47, and it looks like low to mid 40s as we wrap up trick-or-treating. I'm going to let you know we could have a couple of flakes in the forecast. You heard me right. That's my Weather Authority forecast coming up.
Fox 45 continues our coverage on the war in the Middle East. Top left, an Israeli airstrike has struck Gaza's largest refugee camp. The Ministry of Interior in Gaza is reporting that 20 homes were completely destroyed in the attack. Gaza's Indonesian hospital says it has taken in hundreds of dead and injured people. Top right, an Israeli soldier has been rescued from Hamas in the first successful hostage extrication since the militant group's October 7th rampage. Meanwhile, Hamas released a video of 3 women believed to be among the more than 200 hostages held in Gaza. Bottom left, the U.S. is trying to get 100 humanitarian aid trucks a day into Gaza this week. According to Secretary of State Antony Blinken, 500 to 800 trucks a day were entering the Strip before the war. Now it is down to 60 a day. Bottom right, FBI Director Christopher Wray is raising a red flag about terror attacks in the U.S. Wray testified before Congress today that the U.S. could see threats inspired by the Hamas attacks on Israel.
In just the past few weeks, multiple foreign terrorist organizations have called for attacks against Americans and the West. Al-Qaeda issued its most specific call to attack the United States in the last 5 years. ISIS urged its followers to target Jewish communities in the United States and Europe.
Well, it comes as choosing sides in the Israeli-Hamas war is carving deep divides among American voters. National correspondent Kayla Gaskins has more from Capitol Hill.
Mary, what's different about this issue is the divide isn't among party lines, but rather generational. College campuses rumbling with protests.
Palestine will be free!
Age appears to play a notable role in which side Americans support in the Israel-Hamas war. New Wall Street Journal Ipsos polling finding younger Americans much less supportive of Israel than older Americans. Around 40% of those polled under 30 say the U.S. has a responsibility to help Israel fight Hamas. That's well below the 73% of Americans 65 and older who feel that way. Data also shows President Biden losing support among younger voters as he stands firmly with Israel. Gallup reporting the president's approval rating among voters under 35 dropped 7 points in the last month alone.
The reason why despising Israel became pretty much a requirement of the American left is colleges.
The rifts among young Americans over this issue causing tense moments on and near universities. Demonstrators clashing. Anti-Israel students tearing down posters of hostages taken by Hamas.
Why are you tearing that down? Why do you think this is acceptable? These people are kidnapped.
Democrats in Congress providing a more cohesive front supporting Israel, although fissures deepening as members of the Squad and other hardline progressives break with the president on this.
I have been one of President Biden's biggest supporters, but I am certainly concerned about his approach to this.
Younger Americans tend to vote Democratic, so as this voting bloc grows increasingly frustrated with President Biden over supporting Israel, political experts paying close attention to how this issue could impact the 2024 presidential race. Mary, back to you.
All right, and taking a look at the Fox Triplecast this evening. A few clouds around on the Mile 1 Task Cam, Toyota Ishida Harbor Skycam, and the latest weather maker continues to move its way south and east. You see it there on the HG radar. And the next weather maker, that snow you see up in Michigan, that's heading toward us tonight into tomorrow. And in fact, we've got a freeze watch area-wide. This is going to be Thursday morning, so Wednesday night into Thursday morning, not tomorrow morning, but by tomorrow morning, this system, notice the rain south and east, that's pulling away. Great for trick-or-treaters, although chilly. But this one up here, Chicago to Detroit, all that snow, that's going to be ambling its way south and east. And now don't expect a whole lot of snow or anything like that around here, but there could be a sprinkle late tonight into tomorrow morning, kind of window dressing type stuff north and west. Maybe cold enough there could be a stray flurry mixed in, so we put that in the forecast. Otherwise, 50 degrees with partly cloudy skies right now as the sun sets on the Mile 1 Task Cam. Winds are calm. Humidity 52%. So although temperatures are chilly in the upper 40s, mid 40s in some spots to low 50s, and they are running about 9 to up to almost 30 degrees colder than 24 hours ago, what you see at least is what you get. The winds are calm with those chilly temperatures at 50 here in Baltimore. Some 40s north and west up into Pittsburgh, as well as not too far from where that snow is, up around Chicago, even some 30s out that way. All that swinging eastbound, and we are tracking again some clouds as we head through the overnight hours tonight. There's a little bit of clearing now. Those showers that are over the Delmarva continuing to push east. But notice what happens here early tomorrow morning, 5:45 a.m. right around Westminster. A couple of sprinkles here down toward Gaithersburg. And oh, yes, the blue. That's snow on our future scan. You see it's very isolated, primarily pretty light, and you're even going to be lucky to see any of it if you get any. There could be some sprinkles, maybe mixed in with a couple of flakes north and west. By about lunchtime, that's already pulling south and east and gone. But temperatures, man, are they going to be chilly? Only into the 50s tomorrow. I'm going to let you know how long the cold lasts coming up in my exclusive 10-day forecast.
Baltimore County Police hosting an event to prevent car thefts. Coming up, we show you how to put a steering wheel lock in your car. New tonight, the Baltimore County Police Department working to combat the massive spike in auto thefts we have seen around the region this year. Fox 45 Shannon Lilly headed to their pop-up steering wheel lock event today in Essex and has the very latest.
As people pick up their steering wheel locks today in Essex, we are learning even more about the scope of the problem and why these are so needed.
Good morning, sir. How you doing?
At the Stem Bridge Community Center in Essex. Another chance for you to help combat a growing problem.
I got my Kia Soul stolen in July.
In July? Oh my God.
Car thefts skyrocketing across the region, up 189% in Baltimore County from last year, according to police. And juveniles, they say, are typically to blame.
If the juveniles are acting like adults, then they need to be treated like adults.
Essex residents Brian and Gina say their family has come face to face with the problem twice in 1 year.
A few months ago, somebody tried to steal the car right in the middle of the daytime. It was around 12:30 in the afternoon.
Then 2 months later, when their daughter was stopped at a red light,
the stolen vehicle hit her, and a bunch of kids got out and ran, and the cops chased them.
Baltimore County Police working to help curb the problem with these.
Well, I picked up the steering lock column for my new Kia.
There you go. I seen it on television. My wife said, go get one.
You know what I mean? So I came and got up and came on down here and get one.
And here's some additional information.
Today, police handing out 120 steering wheel locks for Hyundai and Kia owners.
So not only are they a visual deterrent, but they're actually a physical deterrent.
Detective